All right. Good morning, everybody. We're at 10 a.m. I see a few attendees still joining the call. So we'll get started and start off first with an introduction. My name is John Rosine. I'm a practice manager at SVA Consulting, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Kaylee, Logan, and Tanya. Kaylee and Logan will be going through most of the demonstration today, especially as we get into Acumatica. And Tanya is here to help facilitate questions that the audience might have as we proceed through our topics today. So before we jump into the topics and the overall agenda, just a few things to level set. And for those of you that have attended previously, you already know the rules here. But for our new attendees, just want to lay the framework. As we go through the presentation today, we definitely invite you to ask any questions. That can be done through the Zoom chat here. Tanya will help ensure that we are tracking those questions. They're related to the topic. If they're related directly to the topic, we'll do our best to address it in the moment. Otherwise, at the end of today's session, we'll have a Q&A as well. So feel free to drop those again in the Zoom chat directly to our team. We'd be happy to address those. For those that are more nuanced and require deeper follow-up, we can do so outside of this session, and we'll have contact information at the end of the presentation as well. All right. And as we get started, Kaylee, if you wouldn't mind transitioning over into the agenda, I'll break down the topics that we can expect today, and then Kaylee will take us through our first. Right. So as we get started, we would like to focus on the overall CRM flow. So as our topic was outlined on the first slide here, we want to take a deeper look into CRM functionality of Acumatica. So we first want to position a general CRM flow, what we can expect in a relatively standard customer relationship or a lead that becomes ideally a customer. From there, we're going to tie in some of the benefits of having your CRM capabilities tied into the ERP. And so that's going to really be focusing on Acumatica, bringing those two together in one unified system. What are the pros and cons to that? What can we expect? Point number 3 here is going to be the fun part where we actually get into Acumatica, get into the topics, and go through some new functionality as well that we spoke to on our previous webinar, which is available on our YouTube channel. Just a little plug there for 24R1. So we'll cover a few of the new features as well in CRM. As we wrap up the demo, as I said, we'll come back with any questions that you have a Q&A, and also share contact information and next steps. We'll also have a QR code for the registration on our next webinar. But I'll get to that topic towards the end of today's presentation. So I think with that, Kaylee, I can turn it over to you to break down the CRM flow for us.
Yeah, thank you, John. All right, like John said, we'll be walking through kind of that basic flow and what Acumatica CRM has to offer, and then we'll transition into a live demo to see these areas in action. So starting off just with the relationship you have early on with the customer within that awareness stage. So early conversations and a lot of lead generation. So Acumatica CRM has those components to do some marketing to generate those leads, whether that be inbound or outbound, and then tracking any activities related to those leads as well. Next, as it becomes more in the interest stage of that relationship with that contact, you can start putting those leads into Acumatica's system, and then Acumatica does have more of an established workflow for marketing qualification and sales qualification if you do have that requirement for your organization. You may come across contacts when they're more into that consideration phase. So if that's the case, Acumatica does have that opportunity management as well. So you can convert those leads into opportunities. Logan will show that for us today. And then the opportunity management is really where you have that sales pipeline and you can track those opportunities and when they'll close. With that, you do have the business account and contact management. So as the time's right, you can create those leads as business accounts or contacts, depending on the use case there. Directly from those opportunities, you can create sales quotes. So that conversion from the opportunity to the actual quote is pretty seamless within Acumatica. And then it ties directly into the ERP to turn that quote into an order and an invoice. So we'll get through kind of that quote to cash process in our demo as well. And then as you have that customer relationship and you want that retention for that customer, Acumatica CRM also has a case management feature, which we'll see today, where you can track those customer support questions or cases and resolve those accordingly. The last piece of the CRM is the customer portal. So we won't get into this in today's session, but that is our topic for next month's webinar. So John will queue us up with that QR code at the end so you can scan that and get ready for that one.
Stealing my thunder there a little bit, Kaylee, but that's okay.
Next, we'll get into some of these benefits of the integrated ERP and CRM. So as John kind of mentioned at the beginning, Acumatica's CRM is native within the ERP, so it's connected, and you'll see that cross-module connection throughout the demonstration today. The first key benefit being you see that 360-degree view of the customer. So as we saw through that flow, you have visibility into the customer through all stages of that relationship, whether that be pre-sale, post-sale, support, etc. Next, you have centralized activity tracking. So you can track activities all in one centralized system without the need for dual systems entry or tracking. So you don't need a separate CRM system to track leads, opportunities, etc. And then a sales system, you can track that all together, and then you can see that throughout different stages. That leads me to my next point, which is the collaboration and visibility across departments. So you can have those internal or external sales reps, and you can have easy handoff between them and the operational team, finance team, etc. The last point here is accuracy and availability of data. So while you're doing that quote or opportunity, you're in that process, you have real-time visibility into that inventory, pricing, and sales data. So you have accurate quoting and then easy upsell and cross-sell opportunities as well. So that's just a couple key benefits of that integrated ERP and CRM. There's much more, and we'll see some of those within the system today. With that, I will transition and toss it over to Logan for a live demo.
Thanks, Kaylee. I'll go ahead and share out my screen here. I think you might need to stop sharing, Kaylee, if you don't mind. All right, there we go. And I'll go ahead and share out my screen. And so to start today's demonstration, I'll actually be starting within Outlook, so demonstrating the Outlook add-in for Acumatica. And so this process, what I'm going to go through, is going to work the same if we create a lead via this method or directly through Acumatica. But just to show that Outlook add-in functionality, I'll go ahead and start here within Outlook. As you can see, I got an email sent to me here for 20 computers pricing from Kaylee. With that, you'll see at the top right-hand corner, we have this Acumatica extension logo. If I go ahead and click into that, we'll then see a few processing options here on the right-hand side of our screen. So we can create a lead directly from this email. We could create a contact. Today, I'll just go ahead and hit Create Lead. And here you can see we can update some information. What is the, if this was associated with an existing business account within Acumatica, we can go ahead and update that. We can update the position for the specific lead. We can update where this came from. So we have this set to referral by default. I can update this. So let's say web as my source. And then I can go ahead and hit Create Lead. All right. From here, I could go ahead and hit View Lead, which I'll do here in a second. But another piece I want to point out is this log activity. If I go ahead and hit Log Activity and associated with this contact that was just created for this lead record, this is going to track that within Acumatica. So now if I go ahead and hit this View Lead, and a pop-up window is opened here on my other screen, we'll see that we have this lead record that was created. And then underneath this activities, we'll then see that email attached as an activity to this particular lead by hitting that create activity through Outlook. All right. And so I'll continue processing. I could go through this pop-up window here just for kind of ease of navigation. I'll actually close out of this and go ahead and open up my Acumatica site. One piece I just wanted to demonstrate here quickly before I go through the lead flow is going to be the dashboards that are available to us. So this ties into some of that integrated ERP CRM functionality. So what we can see in a dashboard, and these are highly customizable, are things like orders for a particular customer. So I could trim this down by one particular customer if I wanted to do so. Otherwise, leave this wide open across all of our customers within the system. But I can see things like late orders, what are my open opportunities, what does my pipeline look like directly through one consolidated dashboard. I can drill down into any of these metrics. We'll also see we can track things like recent activities. So what are all the email communication going out of the system for things like sending out quotes, if we have any communication related to opportunities and things like that. With that being said, I'll actually go ahead and navigate into my lead screen. So if I go into more items and open up marketing, I'll open up the leads screen. At the top, we'll see this lead that was just created. A few things right away. It looks like picked up the name incorrectly, that first and last name. I could always update that quickly here. So let's say Haley Hansen, and let's go ahead and hit save, and then I'll update that lead ID. So if there's any incorrect information pulled in through that Outlook add-in, we can always update that directly within this lead record. And then just to demonstrate again, we still have that activity that we tracked. Where did this originate from? All right. And so we have this currently set to the reason is just created. So maybe we want to go ahead and process this further. Let's go ahead and open up this lead. And we can customize what we'd like this to look like. Maybe the reason here would just be potential interest. Again, we can update these options as needed. But I'll go ahead and hit OK. And then we could have an additional step for, let's say, qualifying that lead. Not a requirement, but let's just say we qualified this by marketing as well. All right. I think we have one last step here, just to accept. And let's say this is accepted by sales and hit OK. From here, you'll see we have this button populate here now. We can convert this directly into an opportunity. Alternatively, what we can do underneath this ellipses here, we don't currently have this associated with a business account in the system. So we'll see here that we have underneath record creation, the ability to create an account. So I'll go ahead and do so now. It's going to ask for a little bit more information. So what would actually be the business account associated with this lead? Also, we can have the business account ID populate automatically. In this case, I'll just go ahead and say Hansen, and let's say marketing agency. If we had multiple business account classes set up, we could select from this dropdown. So in this case, I just have a business or a consumer business account class. These can drive some of the configuration components for the business account that is created. So you can set up multiple classes there. And then we'll also see, so from that lead that we had created, we see that first name, last name, and then the email that was associated with it. So I'll go ahead and hit create. What we'll notice now is we have a true contact record for this lead that was simultaneously created in this process. We'll also see that business account that we had just generated. I can click in via this pencil if I want to take a look at that business account that was generated. All right. And so see, this currently is set up as a prospect. So one thing I'm going to go through here in a few minutes is going to be creating an actual sales order for a business account. One thing to note, so we can't actually create an order for a prospect business account. We'll need to extend that as a customer. But I'll show that as a step moving forward here in a few steps in this process. Underneath the activities, we'll also see all of that activity is going to funnel into that parent account, essentially. So if we had multiple leads for this business account, all of that activity would be consolidated within one queue, as you can see here on this activities tab. From here, we could either create, again, like we saw on that previous screen, we can generate an opportunity directly from the lead. Alternatively, if I come into this opportunities tab and hit add, we'll be brought into a screen where we can actually create this particular opportunity within the system, and we can then quote from this record. One thing I want to point out right away is going to be this stage. So at this stage, we just have this set to prospects. By default, we'll have, as you can see, the stages available to us. Here, we can modify these and customize these as needed, but just going along kind of that pipeline. So from prospect all the way to one, hopefully, eventually. I can set an estimated close date. So when do I think I'm going to close on this opportunity? But a required field is going to be the subject. So let's just say this is a potential computer sale. And then within this details tab, here's where we'd actually add in what is going to go on the quote that is sent out within the system. So if I hit the add row, I can utilize an inventory ID, not a required field, but let's just say I have this Acer laptop computer. I know that's what I'm going to be quoting. I'll go ahead and hit select. And then I think Kaylee said, what is the pricing for 20 computers? So let's update that quantity field. And then I can also add in multiple lines. So let's just say we also need to give them some power rate as they're building out these computers. So they're getting component parts. Let's just add in 10 power rates as well. To commit this opportunity into the system, I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And then let's say we're going to actually open up this opportunity. So we had some further communication. We want to move this along within these stages. I'll go ahead and hit open. And here we'll see we're prompted to set the reason and also the stage you want to push this forward to. So I'll stick for right now to qualified on the reason and then move this, let's say, to proof as a stage and hit OK. From here, we'll see a few different prompts. So we can create a quote. We can also directly close an opportunity as one and create an order. In this case, I'll go ahead and hit this create quote button. And now is where we're going to identify what do we want to bring over into the sales quote that we're creating. So if we're just bringing over exactly what we said on that details tab, we can leave this as is. We'll see add details from opportunity. And we want to set this new quote as primary. This would come into play if we had multiple quotes that we were creating for a single opportunity. This would become more important, but as we just have a single one in this case, we can leave that one as is as well. I'll go ahead and hit create. And now underneath this quotes tab here, if I go ahead and open that up, and let's just click into that quote number. All right. So see, this is currently set to a draft stage. At this point, nothing has been sent out into this to this particular prospect. What I can do underneath this ellipses here is actually hit send. I could also directly mark this as accepted. Maybe it was sent in another manner. We just need to mark this as accepted or is already converted into an order. If something was maybe created in the system twice, we have these options available to us. But I'll just go ahead and hit send. We'll see the status is now updated to sent. If I come into activities, we'll see actually that email that was sent out. And I have this nice Canada quote template for us. So you can kind of see what was attached as a file as well to this email being tracked through this activities tab here. Let's X out of that. And let's actually go back into our opportunity there. So clicking around a little bit. Let's come back into that opportunities screen for which we sent that quote out. All right, so here we have our potential computer sale. I'll go ahead and open it up. And let's say they came back with a quote. They want to move forward with purchasing this product. What I can do here is mark this as 1. And before that, I'll actually move this forward as well. And I could have done this through this prompt as well. But let's just say we had our order placed. That's the reason that we're closing out this opportunity. And then we mark this as a 1 opportunity. I'll go ahead and hit OK. Now underneath this ellipses, if I go ahead and open this up, I have the ability to create a sales order. Alternatively, I can directly create an invoice from this opportunity. We have a few different options there for us. But I'll move forward with the sales order process. Similarly to what we had when we converted that opportunity into a quote, we can copy the configuration or we could recalculate pricing as needed. The bottom piece here, and this is only appearing because this is just a business account that has not yet been converted to a customer. Within this process, we can simultaneously convert this prospect into a customer and create the sales order. So we can set, okay, what would be the customer class associated with this customer? And we'll see also the customer ID that's going to be pulled forward. I'll go ahead and hit create and review. All right, and so we'll see that information pull forward. So the exact details line by line here. So we have our computer, the quantity of 20, the power rate and the quantity of 10. And to commit this to the system, I'll just go ahead and hit save. And from this point, we could then create a shipment as needed. We can invoice for the sales order. We'd process this in our standard sales order process flow. One thing I did want to point out here is underneath our relations, we'll then get our link back. So from the sales order, we can see what was the sales quote this originated from, as well as the opportunity that this originated from. To quickly recap, and so I assume the sales process typically takes longer than this, but we went ahead and tracked that lead via the Outlook add-in, pulled it into the system, extended that as a business account that we were able to create an opportunity for. We then quoted based off of that opportunity. When we had marked that as one, we then converted this into a sales order. At that stage, we then get this link back to that opportunity as well as that sales quote. Shifting gears a little bit here, still ties into the CRM workflow, but a piece that we wanted to touch on is going to be the ability to generate offsetting entries. So let's say we had a business account that is extended as both a customer and a vendor, and we had an outstanding balance for both. So just to demonstrate what this looks like, if I come into this bill that I had created, I have this AA services vendor with an outstanding invoice for $7,000. Simultaneously, if I click into this pencil icon just to show what this looks like, we'll see that there's a connected customer record for this same business account. So I'll go ahead and open up this ellipses. I have the option to look directly at the business account or the customer record. For now, I'll go ahead and hit View Customer. And so here we can see, so we have a connected record of an AA services customer and an AA services vendor. If we have outstanding balances for both, what we can do is generate offsetting entries. And so I'll go through what that process looks like here. And I'll close out this screen. And so in preparation for this call, I created this invoice. So on the AP side, we have an outstanding balance of $7,000. I also created an AR invoice in an open status for $5,700. So the difference between these two would be $1,300. So we'd expect to have a $1,300 balance on the AP side via an invoice. Just as a disclaimer, there's a little bit of configuration that goes into this. So we'll need to make sure that we mark cash accounts as allowing for these offsetting entries to be created. We'll also mark on the customer and vendor that we can create those offsetting entries. For sake of time here, I'm not going to go through all those steps, but there is a little bit of preparation that needs to go into allowing this functionality within the system. But here we have our new screen. So let's offset AP and AR documents that I'll go ahead and open. All right. And so here you can see we can narrow this down by a particular branch, payment date, posting period. We have a few different options available to us. But what you're seeing at the bottom here is, okay, so for this business account, the AA services, and they're intentional about calling it a business account because this is both a customer and a vendor. So we have our AP balance of $7,000 that we just showed. And if we had multiple bills, multiple AR invoices, obviously this balance could be higher or lower, bringing in all of those documents for AA services with the balance amount of being $1,300. So what this offset AP and AR documents process is going to do is, in this case, it's going to close out our AR invoice with an offsetting entry. It'll apply $5,700 to this AP bill and leave us with an outstanding invoice for $1,300. So I'll go ahead and select process here. All right, so we got that green check mark, always a good sign. What I can do now is come back into the payables module and open up the bills and adjustment screen. Here we'll see at the top, we have this open bill for AA services. I'll go ahead and click into that. On the right-hand side here, we'll see, so we had an original amount of $7,000, currently with a balance of $1,300 due to that offsetting entry that we had just created through that offset AR and AP entries screen. And I can see the detail here if I come into applications. All right, so we had a payment in the amount of $5,700. It lets us know that this is an offset AP payment. And I'll go ahead and click into this reference number. All right. There's going to be some additional detail here under the application history for this payment. So here you can see the AP bill that we were just looking at that it was applied against. Underneath the financial tab, we'll also see the AR offset payment. So at this point, we're looking at this from an AP point of view. We'll also be able to link back into that AR offset payment, which I'll go ahead and click into now. All right. And so similarly, the amount's going to be $5,700. Underneath that application history, we'll see the AR invoice that this was applied against. So this AR invoice would be closed out. The full amount was offset with this entry that we had just created. And underneath the financial tab, we'll have the same ability to link back into this AP offset payments. But at this point, we know we have that outstanding balance of $1,300 that's still left over from our offsetting entry. So I'll go ahead and X out of this, X out here. And so to close out this process, all that we would need to do is we can pick this up through a normal AP payment run with a balance of $1,300 to the AA services vendor. We closed out that AR payments. We closed out $5,700 on this AP bill. We have the remaining amount of $1,300 that will be processed as a standard AP bill. John or Kaylee, anything to add on either that CRM flow or the offsetting entries?
Logan, I just want to validate for kind of the introduction into the AP AR offset. Did you introduce this as a 24R1 feature, just for those that are attending the call?
Yeah, I guess that is a good point. I did not reference that. In a previous webinar, we had talked about the AR and AP offsetting entries. This is a function of 24R1. Currently is deployed through an Acumatica supported customization package. The hope is that soon that will be part of the native just features within Acumatica. Currently is a part of a customization package that we can help deploy as needed.
Perfect. And just with that, important to note that it is in that customization package right now. So not a part of the general availability. But for those of you on the call that are interested in this feature, because this has been highly sought after, that balance between the AP and the AR, for those business accounts that have activity on both ends, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to work through that. But new release with 24R1, it's a customization package. So that's all I had to add there.
Perfect. All right, with that, I think I can send it over to Kaylee. So I'll stop my share here. And Kaylee can go ahead and continue the demonstration for you.
All right, thank you, Logan. Okay, I will be transitioning a bit into the marketing automation side of the CRM. So this will be within this marketing module on the left-hand side here. So I'll start by looking at marketing lists. So within Acumatica CRM, you can create marketing lists, and these can be for different types of entities, including contacts, employees, leads, etc. So within here, there's a couple different types of marketing lists you can create. I'll start off with this static list. And so a static list is exactly what it sounds like. You're populating in these members within the list. So you could upload an Excel file to add these in. A classic example of a static list would be if you were at a trade show, for example, had a list of leads from that trade show, and you wanted to import those into this marketing list within Acumatica. So I had a Las Vegas trade show that I added these leads in, and this is what I can start to run campaigns or mass emails against once I create that list. Going back to my marketing list here, the other type is a dynamic list. So for example, this is a new contacts list. And what dynamic lists are is essentially those contacts will add and fall off of this list depending on that dynamic criteria. So in this case, they're pulling from this generic inquiry, which has any leads within the past, or any contacts rather, within the past 2 months. So anything that falls within that range will come on my list. Anything that falls without it will fall off the list, exactly as you'd expect. And again, these marketing lists are used for the basis of mass emails and campaigns. So if I go to this used in campaigns tab, you'll see that this specific list is associated with my New Year campaign. And that's what will be used for that. With that, I'll go to my marketing campaigns and we'll take a look at some of the capabilities within here. I'll use that New Year campaign as an example, since we've been looking at that a bit. So within here, right away, you can start planning out a campaign. So you can have execution start dates and end dates, who's responsible. In this case, I have my marketing work group being responsible. So you can have multiple different employees a part of that. And then you can start to anticipate kind of that expected response, budget, and expected return from here. Additionally, you'll see all that activity tracking. So I had a mass email going out to this list. You'll see those activities there, and that can be tracked, those external marketing campaign activities or some of those internal activities as well. So you'll notice I have an appointment just with my marketing team to sync on those email statistics after that email goes out. If I go to my marketing list, you'll see who makes up that campaign. So you'll see that new contacts list that was created in the past, that dynamic list. And you can have multiple different marketing lists connected to a campaign as well. So in this case, I also had the new leads as part of that campaign. It'll give you a breakdown of all the members. And then here's where you start to see some of that ROI information. So any members that were then turned into leads can be shown here. And then same goes for opportunities. So anything that was turned into an opportunity from a lead will be showed there. Lastly, within my campaign details, I have campaign statistics. So that's where it starts to track those leads converted, opportunities, and won opportunities. So I can start to track my ROI on the campaign. Next, I'll go into my mass email area. So this is where I can start to push out mass emails. So for example, I'll create just a new one to see what we have available to us. You can start to bring in email templates as the basis for these campaigns and emails, and then you can attach them to those marketing lists as well. So like we said, you start with those marketing lists, and those become the basis of some of these mass emails and then marketing campaigns. The last area I wanted to show within the marketing automation piece is the SendGrid integration. So within Acumatica CRM, it's not natively tracking the opens and clicks of emails, but it does natively have a SendGrid integration. So with that, you can track opens and clicks to emails. So for example, I have this contact and I'll go to activities on it. I have a couple emails I sent out that I did want to track opens and clicks for. If I click into this email itself, the new tracking tab will become available once I activate that integration. And here you'll see how many times she opened it, if they clicked on any links, etc. So again, that's coming from a SendGrid account, and that's how it's tracking it. And you would need a separate SendGrid account for that, but the integration is included within Acumatica. All right. The last component of CRM that we wanted to talk about today is the support side. So I'm going to go to my support cases. And this is where you can start to track those questions and cases that your customers have within Acumatica directly. So here I have USA Bartending School. They just needed to return something. So I'll go ahead and open this case. You'll notice that I'm assigned the owner on this case, and the severity is populating as medium, and those response times and resolution times populate from that severity. And Chris said, unfortunately, I ordered too many Lego sets the other day. I only wanted one in our break room, but I accidentally ordered 10 instead. Can I please return them? Yes, Chris, I think we've all been there. So we can definitely return those extra Lego cases for you. And the benefit of having the integrated CRM and ERP is that we can start to attach these cases to different types of entities. So in this case, I'm going to relate it to an entity, that type being a sales order. And then if I want to directly link it to his previous order, I can do that as well. And there you'll see it's populating in, and I can save that. Additionally, directly from the case, I can create a return order. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. And it's going to auto open up this return order tab. So it's going to create a new sales order with that return type. And then I can quickly add those items in here as a return directly from that case. So now he wants to return 9 of those. So we can create that and then go ahead and process it through. All right, and that's an overview of the case side. And I think we have a couple minutes left here So with that, we're going to transition briefly into the mobile app to just see some of these CRM components within the mobile app itself. So I will stop sharing my screen and I will join through my mobile app.
And as Kaylee brings that up, Tanya, how are we doing on questions? Anything that we need to address?
You guys are doing a great job. We have no questions so far.
All right. No comments on Lego sets being excessively purchased?
I was going to say you can't have too many Lego sets, but
that was my take on it. Go ahead,
All
Kaylee.
right. I'm going to open up the mobile app and you'll notice I can use things such as Face ID, etc. to access this. We're going to let that load here. And right away, you'll see a lot of KPIs I have related to CRM. So wins, losses, for example, some open support cases, any tasks. So right away, it can give you a quick view right through your mobile device of what you have in front of you, what you have to do, etc. The first thing I'll show is just a little dashboard. So you can view dashboards easily within the mobile app as well. So for example, I'll go to my salesperson dashboard. We'll ignore some of these metrics here, but I could view my pipeline, for example. So if I'm tracking, where everything is at within my pipeline, I can see, okay, some of those within the proof area, we might want to push down a bit into that solution or one. So quickly through my mobile app, whether that be a weekday, a Saturday, drinking coffee, whatever it is, you can open up your mobile app and just check some of those metrics right away. Next, if I go into the CRM area, I can also quickly add activities to the mobile app. So that might be something that you're used to. A lot of people these days are used to texting and adding things through their phone anyway versus through a laptop. So that might be something you can easily do through the mobile app. I can go to this business account, for example, and if I go to their activities tab, I could quickly create an email, create a note, etc. right through my phone. I'll go ahead and just create a note. And if you can text well, this would probably be better for you than it is for me. And if you're not a huge typer on the mobile device, you can also use the phone icon on the bottom, and you can do the voice to text within the mobile app as well. Go ahead and save these activities. So the mobile app just gives you quick visibility into some of those metrics and dashboards, as well as activity tracking. A lot more within the mobile app, and I know we did go over that in our March webinar. So if you didn't see that, go ahead and check it out. But that's just a brief overview of how you can use the mobile app for CRM as well. Go ahead and stop sharing there. And then we can open up this PowerPoint one last time and hand it over to John. All right.
All right. Thanks, Kaylee. Appreciate it. So as we discussed at the beginning of our conversation today, we did want to set aside the time at the end to make sure we could address any questions. So first, Tanya, anything that has come up? I don't see anything in the queue on my side, but right. If you do have any questions, we have our contact information listed here, specifically our website and also our tech support queue, should that be needed. If you scan the QR code that's on the screen, you'll see our next webinar, which is slotted for June 26th. And as Kaylee had mentioned earlier on, this is going to be on the customer portal. So we want to take what we're covering today and extend that. I think, Logan, in your demo environment, the only option was to win an opportunity. So now that we've won these opportunities and we're expanding into the customer account, we want to make sure that we can view this from the customer perspective with a customer portal. So being able to track your account balances, your invoices, your payments, and all sorts of criteria through that customer portal to provide that benefit to your clients. In addition to that, we'll also cover a portion of the case management functionality that exists as well in that customer portal relationship. And for those of you that, again, are new, we do have all of these posted on our YouTube channel. So under SVA Consulting, the Acumatica webinars, you've heard us refer to that a number of times. We have most recently our 24R1 new features review and a number of other topics. All of them get posted there should you need those. And then lastly, we do like to point all of our customers to the Acumatica community. So in the lower right-hand portion, you see community.acumatica.com, a great place to see other ideas that are floating around in the Acumatica community. Acumatica is responsive on ideas that get posted there, and it can help influence new features that come out. We've seen this time and time again. So we always encourage our team and our customers to go out there and be active in those forums that Acumatica provides. All right. Logan, Kaylee, Tanya, anything to add before we wrap up today? All right. I don't see any additional questions, so we'll go ahead and wrap up today's webinar. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you on June 26th.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.